Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Dialogue, where this evening we are giving you a peep into a whole nother world. And this is because upcoming amazing art exhibit is going to be going on right here at Pop-Up Studios, May 13th, and I am here with the artists. And we were just, I think having a fascinating conversation, because, that's what I think, about some of the inspiration for the Peep Show concept. And I can't let this go, this concept of the social networking sites almost as a modern day Peep Show. Mm-hmm. And it really is. And actually, Deedee, some of the things that you were talking about too, when you were talking about your Women in the Fashion magazines, where it's almost, I'd almost say the opposite. Because those women are much more, they're airbrushed, they're holding these very false poses and all of that, whereas in the social networking sites, well, perhaps we create a desired appearance, it's still much more raw. Mm-hmm. Right. It's still, I don't know, I love that there's sort of almost this little bit of contrast between mm-hmm. you two guys here. Yeah. It's great.
That's what I was trying to get to with that as well, is when one takes a picture of themselves in the bathroom or whatever, it's like you said, it's raw, it's trashy looking. So what I've done is take that image away from the setting that they have and put it in a background that is more like the interpretation I have of these photographs is that everybody thinks that they're in their own little movie or they're their own superstar on Facebook. Yes. 50 comments on this, how beautiful your hair looks that day, how your lipstick looks great and the shade of fuchsia and whatever it might be, all of these different comments.
I don't get those kinds of comments for my photos on Facebook, surprisingly
make
enough.
People feel better. It is,
there is a whole therapeutic session that goes on.
There's a virtual therapy going on in these things but
a very shallow therapy too.
Yeah,
I suppose would maybe be part of the
very
insight.
Superficial.
It's not like, wow, you're really showing your soul in this photo,
So I'm taking these images and I'm putting them in a desirable background. So you're at the Gucci show and you take a picture of you and your friend in front of that little backdrop that says Gucci all over it, and you're a superstar all of a sudden. Yes. You were at the Gucci show, so there you go.
So now you've pulled them out of the Gucci show. Although I would say they're still in a very favorable backdrop with the Bahama handprints printing behind them, but mm-hmm. not the thing that made them mm-hmm. the superstar. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just interject too. I also find that the patterns, they create like this very like burlesque feel too, like as a background, and that kind of to me relates to like peep shows or definitely that sort of.
Actually,
setting.
one of the things I was thinking when the term peep show came up, and I do know they're quite different, but I just on a plane back from Kazakhstan or who knows where, but they had the movie Burlesque mm-hmm. was playing, and I don't get to watch movies very often, but when I'm on planes I do, and I was sort of thinking the same thing, that it is still this glimpse into this other kind of false but kind of raw, kind mm-hmm. of real thing. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Put up to entice.
And I think the similarities between the social networking sites and a Peep Show as well are very true if you think about the original concept of the Peep Show. So yes, you're seeing something that you're not supposed to be seeing, but you're paying for it. So you are supposed to be seeing it, mm-hmm. And it's very much sort of along those lines as mm-hmm. you said. There are security features. You can stop people from seeing it on Facebook, but you have chosen not to. Yeah. It's I love this. How our social networking sites are sort of changing things.
Yeah, definitely. And even the interaction in between people, I feel that people aren't necessarily even living their lives that much anymore. They're living their lives through a camera and in turn they're going to be sharing that experience with the rest of the people. So you're in Paris taking pictures, but you're not actually experiencing Paris.
And it really is, I've had actually friends say that to me that, there was sort of a problem. They're like, I was looking around to see where my next profile picture would be. They're in, who knows what they're in Egypt, they're in wherever it is, and, and that becomes sort of the focus as opposed to the actual place where you are.
Doing what you're doing.
See? Come along, you will have thought-provoking thoughts as a result of seeing all this artwork. Mm-hmm. Deedee, I do want to pull it back a little bit on the other side, and I know you've already sort of done the comment on the ridiculous poses they often make the models do when they're doing these photo shoots for fashion that I don't wear. But even beyond that, sort of is it just about how the fashion industry is doing this, or is it a bigger picture? Because you do have a lot of these women, they've got strings, they're wooden. Is this also sort of about females, or is this, in general, not just perhaps the models who are in the photo shoots?
Oh, definitely. I mean, one of my interests as an artist is, portraying or recreating the female form. And I feel that turning them into puppets sort of does that for me. Like, yes. I think about them, in a mechanical way as well, which is sort of contrasting to them being like these, sexual creatures.
Right, because here they're not living there.
Exactly. So you might, for instance, like look at this piece and you're, immediately drawn to the cherry.
Right.
And you're like, this is so provocative. But then when you start to actually really look at it, you're realizing, oh wait, she's wooden, or
she's not a human.
No, and then you start noticing these more like knobby portions and maybe a big hand and like this big joint that's right here. It's not like this delicate creature anymore, but that's not necessarily how you see it when you first look at it. So it's sort of like playing with your mind as well.
Like a little illusion in some ways too. You think instantly, oh, even better.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. Again, May 13th, guys, got to remember that. This is what happens. I told you I'm having such difficulty focusing on you guys because now I turn around, I look at the art, and I know what I wanted to ask. Do you actually have puppets? Were you using models? Were you playing so you could see how the joints did this, or was this just you looked at photos? How did you? Because they look very puppet-like. So how did you get that? Or do you just know how puppets work? Are you a ventriloquist I am not.
No, I am not. It's,
okay.
And that's why I think I'm continuing on this series, because I don't necessarily know everything about puppets and how they work mechanically, but it's more about looking at finding these particular poses and just figuring out myself how that would work if it was a puppet and not a person. And I usually start with studies, and then so they're drawings on paper, and then develop them into the painting. So where you might see where I have a puppet, she looks like she's sitting, but then there's nothing underneath her because there's now strings.
There's strings.
So it's very simple, like the ideas behind it, and that's kind of what I go on.
Yeah, so simple, she says, so simple. But yet not. How long is the show running until? Is it just May 13th? How does this work? How long can I come in and see all of the artwork till?
The work will be up for 1 month. So
great.
The closing date is June 10th. And pop-up is open from Wednesday to Saturdays. And the times are listed on the website. I don't remember them right off the top of my head, and I don't want to give people the wrong information, but they can always call ahead and come in and view the work if if someone can't make the actual opening reception
that night.
But that is the night to come, because that's when it's all exciting. And
that's when they're all going to get sold too. So if you want to have a chance to actually buy one of these pieces, which is something else that I wanted to at least bring up. I know we don't have a lot of time left, but one of the things that I talked a little bit earlier about how you felt sort of the Bahamian art crowd was changing over time to be more receptive of different pieces. Do you think we're also finally getting an understand, a more generalized population has an understanding of art as an investment, not just as something that's pretty to adorn your wall or to cause thought-provoking things, but that there's actually a financial incentive for us to be investing in our artists?
I hope so. I mean,
lots of hope. We're hopeful here.
There are regular collectors, and they sort of set a trend, and then I guess what I'm finding with our work in particular is that we've had a lot of people like our own age or younger buying our work, and that, to me, I maybe didn't expect that, but I do feel like, people are starting to, see art as more of an investment, and perhaps we can build like our clients from our own age group as well, and and then we sort of build together, and support each other in that sense as well.
I find younger people are making investments, at least from what I've seen in our work, in our sales, that a lot younger people, like Deedee said, are buying the work. Maybe have they gone to gone and learned that art is an investment and learned those things abroad? Are they actual investors that want to invest in art? I'm not 100% sure, but that's a possibility.
Well, no, just because, when we're here in the Bahamas, there are only so many things that we can purchase. While our current, and not a negative or positive, but just while our current system is set up the way it is, there's only limited opportunities for us to be able to invest our money in something which is going to appreciate in value. And art is one of those things that we here and I think it makes total sense that as younger Bahamians, that we're the ones that are doing it. I sometimes do think that collectors are doing it not just from an investment sense, but there's a whole range of things that are going on there because they are true collectors. Hey, in my income bracket, can I be a collector? No, I can buy one piece a year or one piece every 2 years.
You can collect that way.
Yes, it's a slower collection process.
Yes, for sure.
But it really is. This is an opportunity, and I try and bring this up to young Bahamians. This is a great opportunity to not only improve your house and have something unique and ensure that our cultural field gets some financial input. It's good for your bottom line and then long term too.
And I just wanted to add too that we also try to keep our work affordable. These are early days for us still, and
that important word there.
And we want people, we want everyone to feel comfortable and like they can have one of our pieces on their wall if that's what they desire as well. So that's something.
But that's a limited time frame, folks. Just going to remind you of that too. Maybe another year, maybe 2 at most, and then we'll have our next Chan Pratts and Eddie Minnis's, where their paintings are given off to the presidents as they get elected in the U.S. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for talking. We're going to move now to go talk to John a little bit more about Pop-Up Studios in general and what other events that they have going on this year. So come back with us after the break.
Thank you very much.
He breaks you the bush crying, oh Lord, I got dead. It's my short, chicken running on the heart.